What is up, all you hoppin' mad lads and henshin hoes, and welcome to another episode of The World is My Burrito, aka Twimby, a podcast where I jump into random, genetically modified pop culture topics, rearrange them innards a little bit, then release them into the world for you and those you tell about me to enjoy. As always, I am your host, Corey T, coming at you from Tampa, Florida, on this marvelous Sunday, May 21st. It is late. I am tired, but I'm also pretty amped to get this episode done and recorded. Today marks episode 17, and we are covering the cult classic live action film Shin Kamen Rider Josho, or Masked Rider Shin Prologue. You are once again being blessed with a hefty Let's Talk About It section featuring my kaiju brother from another mother, Jose from Cinema Villains. This episode will be on YouTube, but once again, there is no video for this interviewed section. Yeah, we just didn't do it, man. It was just chill. It was late. We were drinking. We were having a good time. As always, research and script writing went into the topic before and after the interview, so there are some duplicates or corrections here and there. Suck it up. Before we fully transform, let's get into some kitchen keeping. So I lied last episode, definitely thought Ghost of Tsushima would be next, but then kept writing, then had a few important gigs come up, and had friends come to visit, and before you knew it, I realized that this really should have been my primary focus because it would have already been done, I don't know, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. But I'm not going to apologize. This is my podcast, and by God, I'll make my own damn mistakes on my own time. Ghost is still coming, though. I have another that might hopefully get done, but we'll have to see about that. I'm not going to say anything in advance. Don't want to spoil nothing. But next month, I am taking my ass up to New Hampshire by motorcycle to visit Zach from Podcasters Assemble and Neatcast. Oh, and to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Laconia Bike Week. I guess that's important. So yeah, really hoping Ghost is out before then, because I don't want to have to think about that while I'm there, because I won't. If you are on YouTube, then you'll notice that my setup's a little bit different. I know I don't really have a ton of videos, but for the most part, I've only been filming from the same direction, which is usually with my camera mounted somewhere over there, pointing towards that direction. But I was like, this should be a little bit more fun. I want to show off, the corner that I work in. This is actually my desk. So you can see a lot of the art and stuff that I keep to inspire me. Those were just placed there to be cool. They're not usually there, but I needed something to fill out that little corner. What do you think? Also, my super cool lamp arm converted into a mic arm can rotate this way, so I didn't really have to work too hard to set this up. Anyways, that aside, this episode is probably going to have some fewer facts than normal, and there are some great reasons for that. We'll get into them into their own individual sections, so let's just go. This might surprise you, but Kamen Rider as a whole is not really my wheelhouse. I'm all about Ultraman, but a lot of tokusatsu and particularly Henshin or Transform series like this, Power Rangers, Gridman, and more were never really my deal. It doesn't help that most of these series were only available as American adaptations, but should be on original recognition. Now, I'm not shitting on Power Rangers, but with series like that, Gridman, Big Bad Beetleborgs, somehow came a complete lack of availability of the original Japanese content. You had to be in the know when it came to fan subs, or turn to the Seven Seas to get any of it, and I was too young for that. Last year, I just kind of conveniently watched a bunch of beginning episodes from various Kamen Rider series, thanks to the Toei YouTube channel. They were all terrible, great costume designs, but everything I saw was definitely aimed at early teens at oldest. Crunchyroll has the anime Futo Pi, which is a sequel to the tokusatsu series Kamen Rider W. Seen the anime, not the live action. And in preparation for this episode, I cracked open the original manga collection from the 70s, which you can get at your local bookstore. And it is terrible in that charming 70s way. But honestly, yeah, go support your local bookstore and buy the 50th anniversary edition of Kamen Rider. Moving on, let's get to pop culture history. Anime OVAs began in the early 1980s and were insanely popular. And let's face it, the 80s was fucking baller for anime. Now, for the uninitiated, OVA stands for Original Video Animation and are animated films and series released straight to video. No theatrical, no TV, de nada. It's just like straight to VHS and Laserdisc. In America, this is usually a bad thing. If a Disney movie doesn't hit theaters, it's probably because everyone knows it's trash. Maybe fun trash, but trash. Look, I really enjoyed Stitch Has a Glitch. Still trash. This is not the case in Japan. Theatrical releases had plenty of stringent rules orbiting around censorship, while OVAs allowed studios to select directors, characters, themes, whatever they might not normally use, then go a little crazy. Toei Company, who owned series like Super Sentai, Metal Hero, and our current franchise, saw this and got the idea to do the same thing but with live action. This became known as V Cinema. This genre also allowed indie directors and actors to get their start. Off the top, if you're a big fan of J-horror, you'll know who the fuck Takashi Miike is. Audition, Ichi the Killer, 13 Assassins, Great Yokai War. Dude has a stacked legacy, and it all started with V Cinema. Hideo Nakata, who directed the film adaptations of Koji Suzuki's Ringu and Dark Water novels, and Kiyoshi Kurosawa, who directed Cure and Pulse, are just a few others. But these are all heavy hitters in the film industry, some of them even to this day. By the way, Straight Chilling Podcast recently covered Ringu and Curse back to back in episodes 421 and 422. This was not planned, the stars just kind of conveniently aligned. Enough gushing about other people. The MO for V Cinema is super basic. Little plot, lot of action, and softcore shenanigans. The approach was give me your biggest, most magnanimous, cheapest film. 1990's Lady Battle Cop pushed the special effects capabilities of V Cinema and was the catalyst for Toei to use another armored protagonist whose rights they already owned. So they hit up Ishinomori and chatted a little bit with him, and he liked the idea of a more grittier take on his character, rationalizing it as if Kamen Rider is going to be 20 years old, it's safe to say he's reached adulthood. Which is a good time to get more into creator and character history. Shotaro Ishimori, the creator of Kamen Rider, was born in 1938. He changed his surname to Ishinomori in 1986, which is the name most now recognize. I really want to go in depth on the creation of Kamen Rider or even like Ishimori's history, but this film is loosely connected to the franchise. And I mean, I'm not going to go that deep. Again, it is not directly related to the original series. It is just part of a franchise as a whole. However, the original series released in 1971. Even with some breaks, there are currently 34 fully fleshed out series in total. The original series was 98 episodes. Holy shit. Kamen Rider has been everywhere and on everything since release. Hopefully that gives you some idea of the cultural impact this franchise has. As far as placement goes, there were 9 series and technically 14 other films before this released. Some hard film details. Released February 20th, 1992, direct to VHS and Laserdisc. This has never officially been released in the US, but was uploaded to the Toei YouTube channel 3 years ago. Free to watch, by the way. It later released in Japan on DVD in, I think, 2003, and has since fallen into physical media obscurity, which really sucks. There is a Blu-ray that's out there. It's Chinese. I don't know, get it, don't get it. That stuff really ends up questionable. So, like, just watch it for free on the internet until they release, like, a special edition. Come on, guys. Like, Steelbook. Let's do this. Before listing the people involved in the creation of this, I would like to state a few things. One, this will be a little more detailed than usual. This is a pretty unique piece of cinema, and there are quite a few people who were or became heavy hitters in their own rights, many of whom are still active. I won't be listing all of those rights because that is a little excessive. Like, even just going through the list, it was like, holy shit, a lot of these people are insanely important. And you got to draw the line somewhere. More importantly, is point number two. These names may not all be accurate. A lot of resources don't list a lot of very important people or inaccurately list them. There are a ton of articles about the series, both old and new. Somewhere along the lines, I think people have been using an auto translator for the kanji that make up names. Because I began noticing a pattern where only a surname or forename matched up, but not both. Maybe some of these people changed their names too. Who fucking knows? It could also be that some articles were much more in depth with who was involved and neglected to mention where the extensions lie, like kind of how deep it went to the people working on it. So where it seems like a name was wrong, maybe it was just like a different name of the person working in that same spot. You know, whatever. Nothing can be trusted, but no disrespect is meant if a name is incorrect. Directors Makoto Ishikawa and Makoto Tsuji. See, we're already starting off. Family name, both Makoto. Whatever. Osamu Kaneda and Japan Action Club's Kazuyoshi Yamada. You know, good start. Makoto Tsuji was no newcomer as he had already directed Kamen Rider Black and Black RX. I don't know that that's supposed to stand for prescription. I think it's just RX. He seems to be a pretty big name for Henshin series in general. Writers Shotaro Ishinomori, Hayato Miyashita, and Joe Onodera. Executive producing the film was Bandai's Katsushi Murakami, mecha designer and father of Chogokin. The producers were Shin Unozawa, Nagafumi Hori, Satoshi Kubo, and Shinichiro Shirakura. Project planner Susumu Yoshikawa, screenwriter Junichi Miyashita, the special effects director for like explosions and pyrotechnics, Nabuo Yajima, dubbed the Dawn of Tokusatsu. The suit effects was Keita Amemiya and sculptor Takayuki Takeya. The actors, Shin Kazamatsuri was played by Shin Ishikawa. Ai Asuka was played by Yumi Nomura. Daimon Kazamatsuri was played by Akira Ishihama. Iwao Himuro was played by Daijiro Harada. Goshima, whom we frequently refer to in the interview as No Brows, was played by Reiji Ando. Giichi Onizuka was played by Koki Kataoka. Sara Fukamachi was played by Kiyomi Tsukada. Takuya Yuki was played by Masanobu Takashima. But the most important of them all was the veteran suit actor Jiro Okamoto, who played the titular character's transformed form. Whatever. This part alone was unreasonably difficult to find. It did frustrate me that it seems like everything lists the suit actor as Shin Ishikawa, but he only played the MC. He wasn't the guy in the suit. That said, I am mad that I don't have the names for the other two suit actors in this film because these people are the real MVPs. Spoiler warning, if you ain't willing to fight God and revive the nation with the powers of a grasshopper, then put this burrito back in the fridge with all those blood samples and ambiguous yellow liquids. Otherwise, hang on to your pool floaty and join me and Jose as we talk about Shin Kamen Rider Prologue. All right, joining me for this episode of Let's Talk About It is Jose from Cinema Villains. Jose, what is up?
What's going on, man? I'm just happy to be here. Really happy. It's so nice.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I'm glad to have you on. Jose, we were just talking about it. Like, I don't actually know Jose.
Yeah.
I know Jose through Shaggy Black and through listening to Cinema Villains. And if you don't know who Shaggy Black is, I mean, you're just missing out, you know.
Yeah. One could say he's every black GameStop employee. One could say
He truly
yeah.
is. But Jose, the main reason I picked Jose for this episode, I know he's a big fan. Obviously, Cinema Villains, if you don't know, is a podcast that reviews horror films.
Yeah.
But Jose himself is a kaiju fan as well.
Oh, yeah.
And, tokusatsu, so Japanese special effects and stuff.
Mm-hmm. That is correct.
With the upcoming Shin Kamen Rider, this seemed like the perfect combo to bring you on. For the original 90, oh my god, I'm going to forget, 93? No, 92. Yeah, 92. Yeah, so this being released in 92, it's a mostly drama but action horror kaiju.
Yeah, this is like if I was trying to sell this to like a non, kaiju tokusatsu fan, I'd be like, okay, so it's a werewolf movie, but instead of a wolf, he's a grasshopper. And they probably walk away at that point. They're like, no, and just turn around. I was like, no, I promise it's great.
No, it's actually good.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, no, that I've also read other people saying it's like an American Werewolf in London, but it's in Japan.
Yeah,
I like your phrasing of reminding people that it is a grasshopper.
Yeah, it's like that's the immediate vibe I got with like the opening of that movie. Without getting too much into it real quick, I was like, yo, this got mad werewolf vibes or Wolfman vibes. I'm just like, oh, what am I in for? Because when you first sent me the picture, like, I was like, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. What original Shin Kamen Rider? Then I seen that I was like, oh my god, what is this?
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, man, it's free on their YouTube page. I was like, well, I gotta watch this immediately.
I know.
Like, I had no idea. This was like yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I mean, this is, man, it is its own unique piece of history, especially for this franchise. Before going too deep into the film, before really touching on that, are you familiar at all with any of the Kamen Rider franchise?
Mostly just the OG Kamen Rider and Kamen Rider Black.
Okay.
That's basically it. Like I said, after that I didn't know. I knew he was still around because I would see like GIFs and stuff of him, but I didn't really follow it that much through after Kamen Rider.
It's funny
Black.
You mentioned Black. That Black constantly comes up when I was doing research for this.
Yeah.
And it seems like that must have been like a turning point for Kamen Rider.
I think that's the one most people grew up with. I'm not too sure. Because I know it's like, I think that's the design a lot of people see is Kamen Rider Black.
Yeah.
It's just like with the big bug eyes and that's mostly when everyone says, oh, that's Kamen Rider, they pick that one for some reason. But, yeah.
Okay, that'll be an episode of its own someday. But now that you've mentioned it, it's like, okay, there's something going on here. Because any article I read about this movie, there's usually mention of Kamen Rider Black, and it's like, all right, there's something going on here. Yeah, I guess the other thing, because I mentioned that you're a big fan of like tokusatsu and kaiju films, but for the listeners, and because y'all don't really touch on a whole lot of kaiju stuff on Cinema
we don't. We still we've done like the original King Kong versus Godzilla, and the new Godzilla versus Kong, but that's it. We still haven't. I still try to sneak one in there. I'm like, hey, why don't we do a Gamera movie, Shag? And he's just like, maybe later. Maybe later.
I'm just saying, Shag, I'm just going to say, Shag, if you're listening, this might be the one episode that you're motivated to listen to. But the reason I got Jose on and not you has nothing to do with the fact that in 3 or 4 years you still haven't brought me on for an episode of Gamera 2 Attack of Legion.
There you go. I'm telling you, come on. We'll let you pick
I'm not bitter,
No,
I think you'd be surprised by that, because that's my favorite one, and I feel like it's a genuine horror film.
Oh, yeah. Most of that new trilogy, you could argue, is got a lot of horror vibes. Or the Heisei trilogy. Yeah. No, those are actually good. Those are actually great movies. Let alone, kaiju films. No, they're really bangers, all of them.
Standalone, yeah, they're really good. Yeah. So with this, But by the time the listeners have gotten here, I've already described all the background information, and this is mostly just kind of to nerd out and to relate it more to people.
Yeah.
So, like, spoiler free, would you recommend this movie?
Nah, that's the thing. I would recommend it, yes. But like trying to sell it to like an average viewer, that's going to be the part. Like I said, it's like, hey man, it's kind of like, do you like Underworld? Yeah, okay, maybe you could check this out. It's the only thing I can describe it of because it's just such a bonkers movie. And such
to say
such a crazy
least.
way to do the concept of Kamen Rider. It's like, hey, what's the most extreme way we could do this character? Here you go.
Yeah, that it is. So we've already mentioned a couple of franchises, which partially answers this next question. Still spoiler free for now.
Right.
Who would you recommend this to?
Oh, definitely kaiju and tokusatsu fans. Even like J-horror fans, maybe? Well, look, it's not all the way J-horror, but there's stuff in there, man. There's stuff in there I think you'll like. And definitely would be like, oh, wow.
This is real difficult to recommend just because of its odd style. I would say, like, to stretch it a little bit further, if you want something that has a lot of the energy of something like the '94 Street Fighter, but much more Japanese, like, this would be worth checking out. It's like it's an easy recommend to anyone involved in like Japanese body horror or Japanese horror.
Thank you. That's the word I was trying to say earlier. Body horror.
Body horror, yeah, like Tetsuo the Iron Man, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like it kind of goes hard, but sort of doesn't. But it is still, man. This is like a unique level. Okay, so you'd be the perfect guy to ask. What category does like Evil Dead, like the OG, fall under for horror? What's that subcategory? Like, it's not schlock, it's just B movie.
Yeah, like a B movie. Because Evil Dead 2, 100% is schlock. That's like gore, slapsticky. Evil Dead 1 still technically just a legit like demon horror movie. But yeah, it's more or less like that kind of B. Yeah, definitely B movie because Evil Dead was made with like no money at all. So yeah.
And this had a budget, but it just has that energy where it's like when you sit down, this isn't the type of movie you're not gonna get some type of out of body experience or like man, like the message is really deep, like. But I just had a real hard time when I was writing about it. Like, man, what the hell? Like, how do I classify this movie?
Right.
Because it's like above a B movie, but below, like, it had a budget, but it's still below a budget movie.
Yeah, because I don't even know if I can say this is a cult classic. Because I'm sure it's just tokusatsu fans, and that's maybe it.
Yeah, it is. And I feel like, so the listeners will already know this by this point, but this movie was a straight to VHS.
Oh, okay.
That's why I think it's hard to describe like what that type of movie is, but you can feel it when I first like I watched the movie and then read that it's straight to VHS, straight to Laserdisc. I was like, okay, this makes a lot of sense now. Like, there's a whole lot that's really
puts a lot more into perspective.
Okay, you generally do the movie descriptions. I mean, you normally do like a full-ass breakdown on cinema villains. Feel free to get into spoiler territory if I don't already throw like some type of a spoiler bump in here. Just let it be known this is your spoiler warning. So how would you describe this movie? And feel free to kind of break it down just a little bit.
Yeah, like I said, this is like what happens when you like I said, it's a were-grasshopper movie. Like the dude becomes like a mutant grasshopper, and he's just going around like I said, that opening took me back. I'm like, what is going on? All of a sudden, like he's surrounded by like a mob of police, and he just eviscerating them all. I'm like, wait, what am I watching? Like, hold up, I was not prepared.
Like, this is
I was like, where's your motorcycle?
Yeah.
I was like, I was expecting you to get on the bike and do your thing, but nope.
Nope, just people dying.
Yeah.
Um, the intro I love, and like one of the first notes, the movie I feel it like gravely improves as it progresses. A lot of the action sequences
Yeah.
because some of the opening sequences are pretty fucking stupid.
Yeah. It's just
Um,
literally like
yeah,
people
and
just
like all he
like
does is he just like touches their neck. There's no like
and
motions, and it's so funny because they'll even do these stills where it's like he just touches their neck, and then there's just blood splurting
yeah, there's
out.
just blood everywhere, and it's like, okay, I guess this is one of those movies. Like,
Yeah, things are just happening.
hmm
And he like the opening is he just bitch slaps that woman,
yeah,
and her shirt just like disappears basically,
yeah. I was
and
like,
it's like
okay, that's one hell of a slap, I guess.
yeah, just slapped her top off basically.
Yeah, like I said, I was just taken aback. I was like, wait, Kamen Rider. I had to look up Kamen Rider for kids. Was that for kids? I was like,
Yeah.
huh.
This one not so much for kids.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Which is the wild thing that they picked like this title. This particular type of release was geared more towards I didn't find anything that specifically said seinen, but it's definitely an older crowd.
yeah,
And probably that seinen age of like 18 to mid 20s.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Because I think when I read a little bit about it, I think I saw the director's like, oh, I'm making this movie for the kids who grew up watching it that are now adults. I was like,
Yeah.
that kind of makes sense.
yeah.
Okay.
And that so this released on the 21st anniversary.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, and it makes sense. Like this is pretty dope. You know, if you watch this when you're 4 or 5 years old, and I don't think I took a note yet of when the original manga was released. But the manga's like 60. It's like late 60s, early 70s, something like
Oh,
that.
okay. Wow.
Yeah. Well, 20th anniversary. Yeah, I don't know if it's 20th anniversary of the show though.
Yeah, because the show was what,
That'd
70?
be 80s. So yeah, the manga's even older than
Yeah.
that.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's true. Like this movie, one of the complaints that I feel like I hear pretty commonly in podcasts, like movie reviews, are people are like, why does everyone have to make all these children's properties for adults?
Yeah.
And when I read, because I read the same thing that you did, that he was like, I want this to be the adult version for, the people who watched it when they were kids. And it's like, that's such a dope sentiment to have, back in the 90s. And this guy was born, I think it was like in the 1930s, like late
Oh,
30s.
wow.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
is. I don't know if you know this part, but do you remember the early on when they're in the operating room, overlooking the operating room, the dude who had the
Okay.
super curly hair?
Yeah.
That's the creator.
Oh, wow. Okay, then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
that's the Kamen Rider creator.
Ah, nice. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
So yeah, he got to be in his own movie, in
Nice.
like a small role.
Yeah, he even got to talk.
Uh,
I'm like, look at you. Good for you.
yeah, but he gets to see this like passionate thing unfold, which I absolutely
Right.
loved. And when I heard that, like I haven't really bitched about anything. I noticed it seems like there's almost too many adult version of children's themes or titles.
Yeah.
But it is like for me, I love it because it's like God, you grew up with Christmas being so innocent. So like of course Fat Man is going to be fucking great.
Yeah.
Wasn't the Mel Gibson one? Was it Fat Man?
Yeah, Fat Man's a Mel Gibson one.
Yeah. I was like, man, I love this movie. Like it just fucks with everything about my childhood.
Yeah.
So, did you pick up on any particular themes in this film? Messages, anything?
I'm going to say no, only because I was watching them a little bit under the influence and just late at night. And I was just like, because like as soon as, like I said, after that opening, I was like, nope, I got to get a beer for this. I was like, hold on, this is crazy. Which is why I try to look up stuff like, wait, what was this movie trying to tell me? And I'm like, but I didn't find too much though. But then again, I don't think I looked that hard. I was just
It's one of those for me. I only caught it basically. The first one I caught was super easy because I feel like it's in every kaiju film, but it's when the two scientists are arguing.
yeah.
one of them's like, maybe we shouldn't push science too far, and the other one's like, you're not trying science hard enough.
Yeah. Yeah, that
So
guy's
most
like,
of the themes in this movie, they're pretty heavy-handed. They cover topics like the morality of the pursuit of science in that one scene.
yeah.
The negative results of presumptuous organizations, which in this one is the organization.
Yeah.
And how international government influence affects both of these things.
Okay.
The two villains in this are the CIA, the
Yeah.
American CIA, and then the organization. Now, I'm not surprised that you didn't pick up on it, because all of that shit is insanely overshadowed by the crazy drama, the romance, the sets, the action sequences, the special effects. It's like someone tried, they're just like, you know what, the messages in the dialogue, and then we're just gonna fucking move on.
Yeah, it's like let's stop the movie, tell everyone what it's about. Hey man, we would all be dead if it wasn't for science. We gotta keep pushing. And he's like, I don't know, man.
Anyways, these grasshoppers.
Grasshoppers, yeah. I never forget, because he's talking about, grasshoppers are like the next level. They communicate telepathically. I'm like, is this not the plot from that Dario Argento movie, Phenomenon? Where she was like, I can talk to bugs or something. I was like, hold up. That's immediately like, wait a minute, pause. I was like, no, maybe, I don't know. Never mind, continue.
And I love like a lot of the grasshopper scenes. I don't know that it was necessarily the first scene, but I'm pretty sure it was the second time they go in there. They do like 2 or 3 close-ups on the grasshoppers. When the main character, Shin, aptly named, is like trying to figure stuff out, and it's just like, dude, they are beating this grasshopper thing into your head. They're like, do you get the grasshoppers? Do you get the science? Do you understand what we're doing here?
Exactly, right? He's consistently having these visions of like his head splitting open and a little grasshopper just kind of just say, like...
Yeah.
I was like, this is a cool effect, but like, what does this mean? I was like...
It's like, it doesn't go anywhere. And that, for a lot of the older, like, Japanese cinema... Or, I mean, not necessarily older, but the stuff that tries to push to be more artistic. So, like that, this movie, Tetsuo the Iron Man, I would group in here as well.
Yeah.
Where sometimes you have to wonder, like, are these scenes attempting to tell a story, or is it just trying, like, is this like a visual of how someone feels?
Right.
For the viewers that haven't seen this, there are several scenes in the beginning, and I think it's only in the beginning. And then once he starts transforming and understands what's happening, they stop until maybe the very end. But they show the character's face. They show something wrong with his face. And then the scene cuts to like this really fucking weird, almost fly like grasshopper. Where like the face isn't quite animal. It's not quite human. And even the body seems kind of fucked up.
Right, exactly. I'm just like, what are we watching? Like... Okay, one thing I am kind of confused about.
Okay.
So the murder, the serial killer aspect of this, the werewolf aspect of this, was that Shin or was that the doctor doing that?
So that was one of the things that I wanted to ask. So the doctor hadn't, the doctor, I think it's Onizuka.
Yeah, there you go.
So this is the evil doctor, like in terms that everyone can remember. He did not convert himself until after we learned what had happened to Shin.
Okay.
So it is confusing because like we, the viewer, see Shin kill the cops in the beginning.
Yeah.
He kills all these people, but then we're told that it's like I forget how they phrase it, but it's almost like this connected mentality.
Yeah. Yeah, because once he says that, I'm like, oh, so it's this doctor doing the killings, right? No?
But
maybe?
It didn't seem like the doctor became this until later because he goes through the whole, like, injection ritual.
Yeah, because I see it shows him just, like, in that room, like, experimenting on himself. So I'm just like, okay, so maybe he's the surprise bad guy? Okay, until he's not. I'm like, okay, never mind. Yeah.
The surprise bad guy was capitalism all along.
Oh yeah, the ultimate evil. I mean, of course.
Yeah, the worst kind of evil.
Yeah,
Capitalism and I guess governments that want more power than they already have.
exactly.
So yeah, that is really confusing. But there's like a scene towards the end. I think it's like right before the girl dies when they're on the docks,
Hmm.
where she was talking about how if she had known that things were going to go the way that they did, she would have tried to, stop them or something. So
Yeah,
maybe he did kill them.
yeah. I have no idea. Yeah,
Yeah, it's so confusing. I feel like the rest of the film lands all of its points pretty well of like
yeah.
what's happening,
Hmm.
but
Yeah, because that's the one thing I just never got. He wakes up in the hospital bed. He's like, "Have I been here the whole night?" And she doesn't really answer him. So I'm just
yeah,
like, "Oh shit, yeah, he's going out killing." But then, like I said, that one scene threw me off. Like with him injecting himself, I'm like, "Wait, so
yeah.
is he not killing them? Hold up."
So
And
it's
then
like
he was just like super creepy the next day in that office when he's explaining, "Yeah, they communicate telepathically.
that
It's like
scene.
grasshoppers will be the next step of human evolution." I'm like, "Okay,
So that scene I really liked because that is like real schlock where
yeah,
the bad doctor, like at this point you're like, okay, this guy's evil, like he's the bad guy, or he's a
yeah."
bad guy anyways,
Hmm.
um because he seems like an evil guy. And then Shin asks him something like, what are you doing, or how does this work, or something. And then the guy's like, well, actually, and then he goes into this whole ass monologue about like science and he's like hype.
Yeah.
He's enjoying the shit
He's
out
like,
of
this,
this.
this, this, it's amazing, man. I'm telling you, this is the
It's so
future.
good.
We got to get ahead of this. And he's just like, Shin is just like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I just saw something last night, and I wanted answers. That's all. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's
Uh,
like, whatever, man. Like, I saw you
yeah,
injecting yourself, and I just kind of want to know what's going on. And yeah, the dude totally like changed character and was, like a kid.
yeah,
Let me explain my science to you. It
exactly.
was
I'm just like, hold
so
up. I'm
funny.
like he's been waiting his whole life for someone to ask him about his project. And
For
he's like, I'm
that
glad you
moment.
asked.
um, so yeah, Onizuka was a wild character, and he never went anywhere. There was like
Yeah,
the one fight scene, and then he just catches on fire.
and just like dies, and like
Yeah,
I was expecting him to like commute. Well, I guess technically he did
yeah,
communicate with Shin, but like it's not really anything. It's just
because
like
it's
Shin's just like, oh, that's who's been messing with my mind. Okay, I get it now. I get it. I'm like, do you? Because I don't, Shin. Please explain.
like I understand, and it took me a while. So this is probably one of the first movies. Like maybe if I'd rewatched it, I'd have got it. But this is one of the first movies where when they repeated the lines, I better understood. I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's referred to as the call and response mechanism.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's not quite telepathy, but from what like the weird like dialogue that we're given, it's like a way to just express feelings or something,
Mm.
or almost like, I mean, in a way, still like a telepathic imprint,
Yeah.
because he could feel like violence and feel what other people were doing.
Yeah, because he was like, you feel everything: fear, joy,
Yeah,
happiness,
and it
pain. He's just like, what? I'm like,
it's like, okay, man.
yeah, because
It seemed like they could only feel pain though.
yeah, because like that's why I assumed it was the doctor, because in that first scene, Shin gets shot, and that's when he wakes up and he's like grabbing his arm, but there's nothing there. So I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
maybe he felt the doctor getting shot, but I guess not. So I don't know.
it's the alternative, and because I don't remember where this stretches, like if so the what this film does, I mean, I feel like it's a classic fault of a lot of like, indie type films
Mhm.
is there'll be sometimes so much of an information dump
Right.
where you don't, but there's multiple things at play, so you're not sure which one it's related to. So the only thing that I have in my head, if it's not actually Shin, is that it was No Brows,
Oh yeah,
the other cyborg, because
the
he's
scary looking
also
guy
level
without
2.
being scary. The scariest
Yeah.
looking guy that's not a monster in this movie. Just guy with no eyebrow
Yes.
just shows up like consistently, creepingly staring at everybody, just like
Yeah, like heavy brows, like heavy brow bones, but no actual
yeah.
eyebrows. Doesn't actually talk. So because
No,
we
he
don't
doesn't.
know
I
if
don't.
the yeah, I don't think he. Well, no,
Well, he
on
talks
the
once in
phone.
the
I'm
beginning, right?
sorry.
Yeah.
He does the phone call.
Oh, that's right. And he
Yeah,
talks to the main bad guy, I guess, in the beginning, right?
yeah.
When he's explaining,
So
hey,
he
that
has a
dude
couple
was a
of
spy.
lines.
Yeah.
But then, of course, in the action sequence towards the end, there's no more room for conversation.
Yeah,
He's
no.
just killing
It's like,
people.
I was like, no, enough talk. We talked enough. Let's just fight, and that's it.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of the set design? Like the locations they used?
They were all interesting. It was all warehousey. It felt like I said, it does give you that Tetsuo vibes, the Iron Man vibes, like maybe
Yeah.
even like the Guyver vibes. Only like
Mhm.
like if the Guyver stuck with one tone, it would have been this movie. Because I don't know, the Guyver from '90, that movie's just everywhere. It
Yeah.
doesn't know if it's like a
'Cause they-
horror movie or a comedy or it's just like
Yeah.
all over the place.
That one was really doing the whole, it's two sides of the same coin, comedy and
Yeah.
horror. We're just using both sides, so we
Yeah.
win.
But yeah, no, the set designs were fine. Wasn't too bad. It was just all industrial. There's nothing like.
It's like a lot of it really is boring. It's cool for thematically, but I think probably the least complex favorite, and like I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed it, was the first fight with the cyborg, the no brow guy.
Oh yeah, just like
Because that one, he's not part grasshopper, he's just a level 2 cyborg, for
he's
whatever
just like-
that's worth.
He's just like the perfect soldier until we
Yeah.
needed better soldiers for some reason. Yeah.
But that area, like the construction area they were in, was just fun.
Yeah, that was
They
good.
had
That's always
the a box truck was on
is
fire.
that not
They
like
were
a Kamen Rider trope that there's always like some big quarry fight?
Yeah, and,
I
you know,
think,
like
right?
I
I
haven't
don't know,
seen.
yeah.
I haven't seen.
I
a
haven't
ton,
either. That's what I'm thinking.
but
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen a lot of screenshots of like.
Yeah, and
the
they're always
fight.
like in a quarry
Yeah.
/ construction looking site. That's why I was like, wait a minute, this is that.
Like,
Okay, good for y'all.
You can tell Japan is always under construction, man. Kamen Rider always has somewhere to fight.
Yep.
The one they dressed up a lot. What did you think about the cult? Like the whack looking cult setup when the doctor was performing on himself, the bad doctor.
Yeah, I was like, what is this? Because it's like, what, he just has candles and he's just like, he looks like he's in a big container. Like, I can't describe it. But it's
Well,
like,
he is in a warehouse,
right?
because
He's
they
in
go
a warehouse,
back.
right? Yeah.
But I was so confused because if, like, and I mean this is a pretty strong if, but if their purpose for this guy was to be like the negative end of, over pursuing science,
Yeah.
and then when he's in that room, there's like writing and shit on the walls.
Yeah.
It looks like a normal horror film. Like I said, when you find out that someone is a cultist.
Right. Well, like, isn't he consistently the one that's like, I'm going to challenge God? And I'm going to be like, I'm going to be a grasshopper. I guess the only thing I could think of, I'd have been like, okay, sure. Pal.
That was weird. And when it hit that, I was like, man, I kind of hope they go for like a cult aspect, because how fucking crazy would that be?
That would have been that'd be just been
ahead.
like, hey man, there's also a cult gang in here.
Yeah.
Because why not? The CIA, we have a cult. It should have just been one big.
The cult of the grasshopper,
Yeah. I'm just
it's-
like, okay.
It doesn't sound that cool, but it'll stick. Don't worry.
No, trust me.
No, yeah, that set was fun, and it's because it just stood out. Like,
Yeah.
they put the most into that. I mean, everything else, it's like basic surgery room, basic office,
Mm-hmm.
The gym, the cafe.
Yeah, no,
So-
it's like that quarry and that little cult room really the standouts. Everything else is like a generic
Yeah.
background.
they're just outside of or inside of a building, you know.
Yeah.
Like most of it, I mean, even the surgery room probably was a surgery room because
Yeah.
there aren't many buildings that have glass overlooking like a half level lower area.
Yeah.
But it felt like a lot of this, I mean, I think most of these weren't sets. They were just like, hey, can we shoot here?
Yeah, that's what it
Like,
felt like. Like, hey, we found
yeah.
an abandoned building. Nice.
Yeah. Continuing on the topic of visual aesthetics, what did you think about the costumes?
The costumes were pretty cool. Like, this is like probably the most interesting looking Kamen Rider, only because, hey man, he's an actual grasshopper.
Mm-hmm.
Slash, like, he's an actual mutant. Because what is he mostly? He's like, it always depends on the lore, right? Either he's a cyborg, or he's like, it's
I
different
think
versions of him, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say in the older ones he's and I feel like it's a loaded word because this was just a cool word to the Japanese at the time, but I feel like
Yeah.
he's a cyborg.
Right.
And even in this one he's considered a cyborg, but like no part of him is robotic.
Yeah, it's like a bio-organic cyborg.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like
That's why I got that's why I got Guyver vibes, because
Mhm.
that's like a bio suit.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that's what this, I mean, not that it's a suit that goes on him, like it emerges
Right.
from him, but the whole thing feels organic.
Mhm.
So it is weird when they keep calling him a cyborg,
Yeah.
you know, or the other doctor, and it's like, oh, this seems organic, but you know, like whatever, it's your property.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um,
And the other cyborg, secret bad guy or final boss, I guess, or whatever you want to call him. He was pretty cool. After looking at him, I'm like, I'm 100% convinced someone from Capcom watched this movie. It was like, hey, you know how we're trying to make a tyrant? Let's just make this dude, but taller.
yes.
Because that's the vibe. Because he had that weird, like, claw hand.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh yeah,
but it
this
was
is
only
a
the
tyrant.
one arm. It was
Yeah,
the
it was
right
only on
arm.
one arm. Yep.
Yeah. So that design, because the Kamen Rider suit, it's fucking amazing. I really love it.
Yeah.
But to me, the standout one, and it's because it's so confusing, is that guy.
Yeah.
The no brow, the non grasshopper guy.
Yeah.
And I just watched a couple of videos of like the history of the Resident Evil games.
Right.
So like when he popped out and had that big arm, I was the same
Uh-huh.
thing. It's like, oh shit, that's a tyrant.
I'm like, that's a
Like,
tyrant, only not as
yeah,
big. Only just like,
I know where you got this from.
exactly. Like, y'all ain't slick, Capcom. I see you. I know there's a Kamen Rider fan somewhere in that art department that was like, hey, I got an idea. Even had the big, like, not heart thing in the middle of his chest. I'm like, hey, look, see, it's Tyrant. Y'all can't tell me otherwise.
It's pretty close. There's some
Yeah.
suspicious themes there. Now, his suit in particular, for me, what I loved about it most was I believed that it's like, okay, I think this guy is supposed to be a robot.
Yeah.
Like a cyborg, but
Yeah, for certain, that guy, I'm like, oh yeah, that guy's a
Yeah.
robot. Okay, yeah.
but the suit was still so oddly organic,
Yeah.
where it reminded me, and like of course right now I'm gonna forget what it is, but one of my like favorite 90s OVAs,
Is it Geno Cypher?
yes, Genocyber.
Okay, yes.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes, that's the one that, like, literally everyone, like, I guess someone on Reddit discovered it, because, like, it's been popping up on my feed lately, like, oh, this is from the 90s, look at this shit. And it's always people just brutally getting messed up.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So in Genocyber, I would recommend it. Like the first one in particular, especially if people like this. If you like this, Genocyber takes it up a notch because I'd say it's more violent and it gets rid of, I guess, like the thematic thing. I watched all three of those on YouTube
Nice.
because
Yeah.
this is before they released them on Blu-ray. Now you can buy it on
Okay.
Blu-ray.
Oh, they're on Blue. Okay, cool, nice.
Yeah, so you can actually purchase it now, but back when I was interested in it a couple of years ago, they weren't available anywhere in English.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I found it on YouTube, and it's like, whatever, it's on here. It's been on here for like a year or more, so like,
Okay.
you know, it ain't that illegal.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, someone must have rediscovered it because it's going through like I said, I've seen so many
resurgence,
clips for that.
yeah. And it is insanely violent, but
Yeah.
the no brow guy's cyborg form reminded me a lot of what I remember from that, because that is a
Okay.
lot of hybridization of man and machine.
Okay.
Um, almost like Akira, but a little
Mm.
bit. Genocyber's a little more honed in on what it wanted
Okay.
to do. Akira was a lot more like in the bio end, not the mechanical end.
Right. Okay.
Um, but yeah, his suit I really loved, because I was like, I am having difficulty distinguishing organic from inorganic.
Yeah. That's
Um,
what I thought. I'm like, okay, he's like a big bronze. Wait, no, this is weird looking. Hold on. Okay, but
yeah,
no, I agree. It was great. Like I
kind
said,
of
I
like,
liked them both. I loved him and Shin Kamen Rider or whatever. They're both great
oh
to me.
yeah,
And these were two amazing
Shin.
designs.
And that suit definitely bears talking about, because uh, it's one of those things I didn't realize that I loved about Tokusatsu until the suits were getting damaged,
Yeah.
and they had like there was a really weird scene, and it's so small, and like this is why I appreciate it, but I want to say it's the final battle between them, where No Brow is bent over and Shin does something and like scrapes his back, and it's just
Yeah.
like a light
Hmm.
scrape, and like skin comes up or whatever, and there's more underneath, and it's
Hmm.
like, this is like peak, when they're like, we need layers, like,
Yeah.
and they do show the one scene where Shin gets cut into his arm,
Yeah.
and the armor has multiple layers, where it's
Yeah. You
like,
can
oh
totally
my,
see like up. It got through a bunch of them. That's pretty
yeah,
cool.
and it makes it a lot easier to suspend disbelief, when they have all
Yeah.
these layers and stuff. They're
Absolutely.
insanely flexible. He had like the Shin had the predator mouth thing going on.
Yeah. I'm
you
really
know
glad his mouth moved. I was
oh
like,
yeah,
he expressed like he had expressions on his face. I'm like, nice. Yes, because if I still loved it, but that just chef's kiss. That added to it so much. Like you can see him get pissed off. You can like he's like, huh? Like it expressed. I'm like, thank God. Yes.
yeah, those are all very good points, because yeah, the whole suit could move.
Yeah.
It's reminiscent of like, I guess the turtles would probably be the next best thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can see
because
that.
they had the full body expressions, because there was the dude
Mhm.
in the suit and then the actual facial animatronics.
Yeah.
So it's like the Shin Kamen Rider, though I'm pretty sure it was always two separate things. I don't think there was ever a scene where his face made an expression while he was wearing it.
I don't think so either, but I can't. I think it's like the Godzilla thing. They always show the face
The head
animatronic.
is separate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh huh.
Um,
I think
but
that's
it's
what we
still
had.
it's cool to get a character that throughout events that happen, that they're showing, because like they showed that Shin was in control of the beast self, but then they show the facial expressions, and it's like, what, like you said, chef's kiss, that cherry on top,
Hmm.
where it's like the face can, the actions are one thing, but then the face really brings it all together.
Yeah.
What would you say is your favorite scene or sequence of this movie?
Definitely the transformation scenes. Because they
Mm-hmm.
weren't just like they like pretty much the suits exploded out their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is really cool. Like this is awesome. Because like especially like because the first time you see it, I think it's the cyborg dude. He just pretty much just like rips his face
Yeah.
in half, and like it peels off his skin, and he's like, "Oh, I'm a robot." I'm like, "Hey, this is pretty cool."
And they go into so much like minutia to show like what is being
Yeah.
torn or getting fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I was really surprised about, especially for this being a henshin, is the two times, or at least two of the time, yeah, the two times we see detailed shots of Shin transforming, they're different.
Yeah.
Because like the first time they go through the one thing where it's like the red dot, whatever the hell that is
Yeah.
like
Just his
pushing out of
third
his,
eye, I guess. I don't know.
yeah, and like
Yeah.
his eyes are rolling back or whatever, and his face is widening and cracking apart. And then the second one was even different, and it's like I
Yeah. The second one,
someone
his
knew where to put
antennas
the
pop
fucking
out. I
budget.
think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
exactly.
it's that. Yeah,
That's where it was.
it's the normal face, and then the antenna
Yeah.
pop out of the normal face, and then the rest of the transformation starts.
Yeah.
And it's like I didn't think I could be freaked out like
It's,
twice.
it's like they argued like, okay, how should he transform? I was like, oh, he should do this. Like, no, his antenna should pop out. And they're like, well, why not both?
Yeah,
Two
why
different
not
scenes.
both? It's like
We got the money.
cut some money out of the story, put it
Exactly.
into the costumes.
We don't need sets. No, give money to sets. We need just.
There's an
we
abandoned
just need our
warehouse
special effects.
somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. We cut corners around here.
Oh yeah. No, the transformations. Yeah, it's gonna be hard to beat. Yeah, I can't say that anything is better. I really love how they shot the movie, like that foggy lens.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was a decision or just the gear that they had.
Right.
But as soon as it opened, the dark scene showing Tokyo or wherever it was at, where just all of the light has lens flare, or not lens flare. It's just oh man, I can't think of what that's called. But it's just such a almost like the lens is like lightly scratched all over,
Right.
where all of the light bleeds.
Yeah, I know what
the
you mean,
darks are dark and the light bleeds, and I love that because that is, I mean, you don't even get that stuff in like Godzilla movies, but there are quite a few like older films where that is just the aesthetic, is that was the best quality glass they had at the time.
Right. Exactly.
And this is the 90s. I feel like they could have done a lot better, but I really love that decision.
Yeah. No, it helped with the mood and the atmosphere. Definitely.
Yeah. It
100%.
probably helped hide a lot of faults and stuff too.
Yeah. The way. Yeah. No. That makes a lot of sense. No, I wouldn't be surprised if that was it. Yeah.
So, I kind of wonder if I already know the answer, but what do you think the worst scene in this movie is?
The worst scene. I'm trying to think. Oh man. I wouldn't necessarily say this is the worst scene. Well, actually, I'll take it back. That weird. Is it sex scene in the middle of the movie? I forgot about that. So I was like, hold on, wait a minute. Which, of course, I was like, humanity, don't disappoint me. And I click on the YouTube video. It's like most replayed. I'm like, of course it is. I was like, you filth! How dare y'all? But no, because that just comes out of nowhere. I was like, wait, weren't you with your friend? Where is he? I was like, hold on.
So, and it's the best part about that is the series of events that leads to it.
Yeah.
Because he's taking a shower, and then he hears a noise, so he gets out of the shower, and his friends surprise him, and then he has like a drink, some tea or whatever with him.
Yeah.
And then he goes back into the shower. He's in the same. He hasn't even left.
It's
he
like,
just got out of the shower. Yeah, and he goes back into the shower, and then she goes into the shower, and then there's the really weird like swimming naked scene, and it's like, where was this conversation at?
Okay, like, exactly. It's like, who approved this? Who greenlit this?
Where are all the other workers in this building? Like,
do they just have access to like a gym or something? Like, what is this? Like I said, that threw me off. I was like, what is this? This came out of nowhere.
Oh man, I was not imbibing, but it's one of those moments where it's like, am I sure I'm not high right now? Like, I'm pretty sure I didn't take anything, but this just came out of left field. No, that's definitely the worst scene. It's like, I feel like you could have done anything different to relay the fact that they were in like a sexual relationship.
Yeah.
But that
swimming
is also
underwater, and then we're on a random raft
in
the middle of this float. There you go,
naked on a float.
On like in this gymnasium swimming pool. I'm just like, what?
Man, like
did y'all want to be on the lake?
Fitness, if that were an LA Fitness, you'd be exposed to everyone, because exactly. They put their pools right up front next to the window.
Exactly. Everyone's like, what? That part of me was like, did y'all write this in the script at a lake, but y'all just had no budget? So like, I'm just use the school gym. We got to do it.
They probably did all those shots in the same day, like all the shower scenes, that cafe and the towel scene in the beginning.
Right.
Oh man. No, that was very confusing. And then like the way that they address it, because there's nothing. There is nothing. And then this girl gets locked up in a room, and the corporate villain is
Yeah.
like, oh, wouldn't want to hurt that baby inside you. And it's like,
Exactly.
what
I
baby?
was like, wait, exactly, huh? I'm like, they just did it last night. What are you talking about?
I even took a note. I was like, dude, they were just in the pool 15 minutes ago. Like, how do we know about this fucking baby? Like,
I almost Googled how quick do grasshoppers have kids. I was just like, hold up, maybe there's a scientific explanation.
Like, I don't know if I want that in my search history.
I just like, hold on, let me go on private mode before I type this.
Yeah. Like incognito, okay.
There you go, exactly. It's like, hey man,
And
I'm doing science. Leave me alone.
Oh man, no, that was so confusing, and I like you. I just kind of assumed, I was like, this has to be like an insect thing, because there is no passage of time. It seems like this entire film takes place in like 3 days.
Yeah, it's like it's like over the weekend there's this crazy grasshopper dude just terrorizing Tokyo.
All this shit happening.
Yeah.
I don't
wild. Get it. Yeah, because I'm like, and that baby is fully developed too, apparently.
So
kind of.
I made that note too, where this is the baby on every conservative billboard in the South. This is your baby
Pretty
after
much.
15 minutes. It's like
what?
Like, might believe in abortion after you see this thing pop out.
Yeah, because it's just like, hold up, no, I don't want this grasshopper child. What the hell's wrong with y'all? And then it's already calling out to the dad, like, hey, help. And he's like, I gotta go help. He's like looking around.
Telekinetic powers where it's just like saving people and like zapping people. And then, to add to the weirdness, she's dead.
Yeah.
It is still alive in her womb.
Yeah,
and it's like that.
Just save the baby. That's all I care about.
Yeah, just save it. Yeah.
I don't care what it looks like. I'm glad you said that.
I know. Yeah. She's dead. She's like,
I guess I gotta carry this corpse for however long.
Yeah. It's like, man, that might be the most terrifying thing in this movie, is knowing that like fucked up baby is alive inside of a corpse.
Exactly, right? I'm just like, no, I don't want to know. Just stop. Because that ending happens, I'm like, okay, they're dead. At least the dad is dead. No way they're surviving that helicopter crash. But okay, sure, I'll allow it.
It's, oh man. And I feel like there's no drama, because it was so funny watching him walk down that tunnel, holding the girl body, and I'm watching it for, I don't know, 15, 20, 30 seconds, and then I'm like, fuck, his dad's dead. Like, that's what this scene is. They just like completely ignore that it's like his dad is dead right now.
Yeah, because that's why I said, I'm like, oh, how convenient they landed on the roof. Entire building explodes. I'm like, well, never mind. I take that right back.
Oh my god. It's so funny because I've been watching videos on Redfall lately, and it's like that's basically the explosion dynamics of Redfall.
Yeah.
It's like one bullet, car explodes. Helicopter hits the top of a building, whole building explodes. And I guess speaking to that, I do like that there were several rocket launchers in here so that the explosions made sense.
Because there was just several. Like, everyone had access to a rocket launcher in this movie. Like, the CIA, the organization, all of them.
Just passing them out.
Yep.
Oh, man.
It's like, hey, man, you used to be surprised how cheap these things are. Here you go. I'm like, oh, cool, thanks.
Like, yeah, I got mine.
Maybe we should have started with this instead of machine guns. Like,
oh man.
That was a complaint. That was a complaint of mine, real quick. Like, when the baby's like, "Hey, come save me," he's like, "I gotta go save somebody," and he's just running. Like, I get that, we're showing that he's a superhuman. I'm like, but shouldn't he be on his motorcycle right now? I was like, this is the perfect time for him to be on the bike, just doing cool bike stuff. On his way to save the day.
Same question throughout the entire movie. Like, he always has his bike somehow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, he'll get kidnapped and he has his bike. And it's like,
exactly.
they just brought it. Like, how convenient of them to do that. But, like, no matter what happens, his bike always happens to be where he is. But then in that moment, when the baby cries out, he's got to run. And I was like, this is the most, like, $6 million man bullshit.
Yeah, because he just
The cars are driving 10 miles an hour, 5 or 10 miles an hour,
Yeah.
and he's hustling, and they speed up the footage.
Yep.
But at least if, like, he has respect for the public, and he's running between the cars, not over
Exactly,
the
right.
cars. If this were a Marvel movie, there'd be so many insurance claims.
Oh, dude, he'd just be knocking cars over, just doom, 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 doom.
Left and right. Get out of the way.
Exactly.
Oh man, that was a decision because
Yeah.
none of the movie is like that.
Exactly. That's the one part I'm like, where's your bike, dude? I was like, you
Yeah.
are the Kamen Rider. Go, like, right over there.
Do the riding thing.
Exactly.
No, one of the other scenes I'd forgotten about, like, speaking of just dumbly filmed scenes, when the CIA girl, like that sniper sequence.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where No Brows is like sniping from a distance, and she's like doing twirls and shit, just like doing
Yeah.
360s in a dress and being
Just
like,
like
pow, pow.
dodge, dodge, dodge.
Yeah, like every.
Like, no, you should have got sniped too. I'm like, what is
Yeah.
going on here?
Well, and the like most mind blowing part, because she's firing this thing like a 6-year-old pretending to be a cowboy or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, you just did a 360. You're holding it like in front of your chest, pointing sideways, and you are equally as accurate as the sniper. Because
Yeah.
every bullet is hitting near him.
Yeah, it's like, I'm like, okay, I guess.
It's like, this
Sure,
is
I'm like-
so... scenes like that in the running scene are like, we're really, like, so much of this movie is good, and then it's stuff like that that just, like, kind of drags it. Like, in case you forgot, this is fucking schlock. Don't forget your roots.
Exactly. And she had a scarf. That's. I'm like, hey, that's the red scarf. You can't tell me otherwise. That's the Kamen Rider scarf. I don't want to hear it.
Because he never wears any of the traditional stuff, which
Yeah.
I'll give him that. The only reference being that he is a grasshopper type character.
Yeah.
And then
That's
they
literally
forego the rest of it. The weird, he doesn't have. They do the horror transformation as opposed to, So my knowledge of Kamen Rider comes from much more of the modern series, like the last decade,
Okay.
because the same Toei channel has like at least episode one of a dozen different series.
Yeah, I was looking at that because they had the OG one. They had Black. I think they had.
Yeah, and they have some of the older ones too.
Ryuku or something, right? I can't remember what it was, but they had a bunch of them. I'm like, I had no idea these Kamen Riders even existed.
Yeah, the Kamen Rider, good God. I saw the list and it's like, that's a lot. I think there
I
are
was like,
more
oh, wow.
variations than Ultraman.
I think so too. Yeah, I was like, wow.
Yeah, because I feel like they like churn and burn those out, like 1 or 2 seasons and then they're done. And like, I think Ultraman goes on a little bit longer, at least the older ones. But yeah, and a lot of the newer ones, the episode 1, is like they're just a normal person, and then they become the Kamen Rider, and then within that episode they use like all 15 of their moves.
Exactly, right? They're like, we gotta
Yeah.
show you what you're.
Everything that you're in for the rest of the season, and then they do the transformations, and it's like I could see kind of in just a small window of looking at about 4 different series, like the first episode of 4 different series, this evolution of like, okay, this transformation took like 15 seconds, so this one's going to take 30 seconds, and then now it's like, watching someone, like assemble a gun, where like a sniper rifle sequence where they're like, all right, let me pull out the suitcase, and they open it up, and it's like, this thing connects to this thing, and this thing connects to this thing, and this thing is actually a belt, and then I gotta spin the belt, and then it lights up.
Right.
And in one of them it was so wild because like their first transformation was they had to put like 2 different things in a belt or something, whatever their machine was, and it's like, thank God they did not do any of that for this movie.
Right, no, it's just, let me yell.
Straight horror.
Exactly, just body horror. I am now the Kamen Rider. Okay.
Yeah.
I am now Super Grasshopper Man.
And I definitely appreciated that.
Exactly.
Because it feels like nothing else. It's like, it's Kamen Rider, but it doesn't feel like Kamen Rider. Jose, do you have any remaining thoughts, complaints, anything about this that we didn't cover?
The only thing I could think of that cracked me up when he was like, "We gotta evolve into grasshoppers. It's the only way humanity will survive." And then at the end with that weird grasshopper baby, I'm like, you know what? This is a Terraformers prequel that we just didn't know about. You can't tell me
Yeah.
otherwise.
It's like humanity doesn't deserve to live.
Exactly. We'll become bugs, fight evil cockroaches, and we'll call it a day. But no, but
Uh,
yeah, that's that. But other than that, man, this movie was bonkers, but it's fun. You can't say it's
mhm.
not fun. That's why I'm like, hey. And I'm glad it stands alone. Someone's like, do you have to watch the show? No. So you're good. You
Mm-mm.
just start here and just have fun.
Yeah, you can do that, and I do think that is a very important point that I hadn't even considered. That like, yeah, you don't have to give a shit. It doesn't
Yep.
connect in any way, so it's like you could easily recommend this to someone
Oh.
who likes fun horror, um, just weird
Yeah.
out there, and they're one and done. That's it.
Well, this was supposed to start a series, right?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, I thought so.
It was supposed to be. I think it's like 4 or 5, and I'll have this in trivia as well.
Okay.
But it got shelved for another series that ended up apparently really rebooting Kamen Rider.
Yeah, I think
Um,
what comes after this one?
it's like
I think
is it
it's
ZO?
Zo?
Yeah.
Zo? I don't know.
Yeah.
But apparently that's the one Saban used for the Masked Rider when they tried the Power Rangers Kamen Rider, essentially.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
that they used a lot of Zo, but they're like it's kind of weird. That I don't see how they did it because there are multiple villains in Kamen Rider who just have a face. You know what I'm saying? It's not
Mhm.
like he's fighting too many big monsters, so I can see why that didn't take off too well. That little Masked Rider or whatever, Saban's version of it or whatever.
Yeah. Was Saban? Would that be like the Beetleborgs? Those ones?
Yeah, I think so.
I
Yeah,
can't.
Because I don't
Beetleborgs, I'm
remember
always-
watching it. Yeah.
Yeah, I always get I am always amazed at how many insect focused henshin series there are.
Yeah.
Where it's like just when I feel like it's like okay, there's Kamen Rider, there's whatever the Beetleborgs were, and then I see something else. Yeah, there was something on Twitter the other day talking about like 70s or 80s series, but it was the original Japanese cover, and I was like, this looks like Beetleborgs, but like the katakana does not line up with any of
Right.
that. And I looked it up, and like absolutely not, completely different.
Wow.
So
I
yeah,
guess
and that being
Japan's
the
is like,
additional,
bugs are cool. I guess that was the whole thing.
yeah, they loved it. But I guess adding to the point is none of that confusion has to be involved in this.
Right.
He does show up. I don't have a list. I don't even know if there is a straight up list, but
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
the Shin Kamen, this specific the horror
Yeah.
Shin Kamen Rider appears in quite a few other series.
Yeah. I think he
Um,
makes cameos in a couple of them. I think.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to assume it's only a 1 episode thing.
I think so. I think it's like a hey, the gang's all here. Let's fight this new
Yeah.
bad guy.
Yeah, like the
type of
Power
thing.
Rangers did.
Yeah. Exactly. I think it's one of those. I think I seen a picture, and of course they're in a big ass quarry. I'm like, yep, makes sense. Okay. Checks out.
There's that quarry again.
Yep.
Yeah, like we gotta get in, get out. The Power Rangers will be here in 15 minutes.
Exactly. Like they got to
gotta
schedule their
use the
stuff
same
accordingly.
quarry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't mention this at the top, but it will be mentioned at the top of my own episode. But the other reason covering this being the new Shin Kamen Rider,
Yeah.
I have done an excellent job of not hearing anything about it because it released last year in Japan. And I don't
did it?
know
Wow, I didn't know.
shit.
I didn't know it released that long ago. Wow.
I wonder if I'm mistaking it for Ultraman. So if
Okay.
it didn't release last year in Japan, it is already out.
Okay.
So either way, I've done that is how good of a job I've done of
Nice. Yeah. Well, yeah. Because I haven't
keeping
heard
the
nothing
spoilers
either.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I know with Shin Ultraman, they're like, hey, look at this, y'all. I'm like, God, Lee, come on. Can I at least watch
Yeah.
this on my own?
we got the
Yeah.
Shin Godzilla, the Shin Ultraman, and
Yeah.
now we got the Shin Kamen Rider.
Yeah.
So neither of us is absurdly familiar with Kamen Rider, but
No.
the director is obviously Hideaki Anno.
Oh yeah.
So what are you hoping to see from the new film? Are you
I
gonna
don't
go
know
see it?
I'm gonna try because I know it's like a one night Phantom
Yeah.
event thing. So I'm like, darn it. And I'm just so spoiled by the Draft House, the Alamo Draft House. I really don't like going to other theaters. So I'm just gonna be like, I guess I gotta go to a regular theater and just be. But I'm hoping it's fun because it looks really cool. I do like his design. That he got just the hair sticking out of his helmet, and he's brought back the scarf. I'm like, yes. And from what I've seen on previews, it looks fun, and it looks like it's pretty gory too from the stuff I've seen. I'm like, nice.
Yeah. I hope, especially with all of the modern stuff, like, I'll give Kamen Rider props. A lot of their costumes are very attractive.
Yeah.
They're either just super fun or just like sharply designed. But for this one, kind of like the prologue Shin Kamen Rider.
Yeah.
I hope it's serious. Like,
It looks like it's gonna be serious.
Yeah, it's so kiddie. Like, I don't think I could watch a whole modern Kamen Rider series because one of them, I think they had up to 4 episodes, and I watched it and I was like, man, this is trash. Like, I did it just to do it, but I was like, if a little kid could find enjoyment out of it, but like even in teens, you'd be like, nah, fam, like this is shit.
No, exactly. Even though I had a friend who's way more into like this stuff than me, and he was like, I'm like, so Kamen Rider's pretty cool. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, you don't understand. Kamen Rider is for adults. Power Rangers is for children. I'm like, are you sure? He's like, no. But that's how when I want to be a snob, I say that to the Power Ranger fans, and they get mad at me. I'm like, okay. I see where you're coming from.
So I hope it's Hideaki Anno, so I'm sure it's going to be serious. And I still haven't watched an Ultraman yet, but
no,
that
I still haven't
has gotten absurd praise.
Yeah, that's what I hear. I actually just ordered the Blu-ray. I was like, I'm just going to watch it.
Yeah. Because that I need to see as well, and I've been holding off on it. But yeah, I just hope the new one, I hope it's good for adults. Like, just give us something.
I'm thinking it will be. Yeah.
Yeah. With that taste, kind of like you do with Shin Godzilla, and from what I've seen of the previews of Shin Ultraman, where it's like your childhood is still there. Don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
exactly.
The second form Shin Godzilla, goofy as shit. Third form, little less goofy, but still goofy. And it's like, this is why I watch these movies.
Exactly.
They're fun. That's why I love Tokusatsu. It's just, you can think about it, but you can also just shut your brain off and enjoy it.
Exactly. Yeah. No. Especially Shin Godzilla. It's like, it's great. It's great on all levels. You can enjoy it as a Godzilla film. You can enjoy it as like a serious, almost horror monster movie. It's just great.
Jose, I think that about does it. This went on for a lot longer than I expected, so I'm really happy with that.
Hey, yeah, thank you for having me. It's fun to talk about something like this. Because normally someone invites me to a podcast like, hey, you want to talk about this terrible movie? I was like, sure, I guess. Yeah, but no, it's fun talking about something like this. It's a change of pace for me, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, man, I'm really glad to have you. It's finally do something that is Twinbee and Cinema Villain crossover.
Exactly. You got to get you on our show. I'll force Shaq. I'll tie him up, and you'll have no say so in the matter.
Twist my arm. I'm always ready to watch Gamera 2.
Exactly. That's the best. We'll watch it. We'll put it on. Oh, let's go. I got that Arrow box set. We'll go.
Oh, hell yeah. I got both of them.
Nice. Yep. So I'm just
the spread
I got
cover.
the Blu-ray ready. Mm-hmm.
So where can people find Cinema Villains?
You can find Cinema Villains on Twitter and on Instagram at cinema_villains. Just follow us on both. From there you can find me and Shaggy Black. We're on there, and we're as of right now a bi-weekly movie podcast where we review movies, but most importantly, talk about the villains in them, and if they're amazing or if they're completely horrible. Sometimes we gotta find the villain in the movie. Like Jingle All the Way. We're like, is Sinbad the villain? Like, no. Capitalism was the villain in that movie.
Capitalism.
Consumerism, Everyone obsessed over this damn toy. That's the villain.
I will say, yeah, if you like,
Yeah.
if you want a really solid, educated podcast that occasionally talks about horror, then go listen to Straight Chilling.
Exactly. Go listen
But
to them.
if you want a
Exactly.
podcast where it's two schmucks who
Drunkenly.
enjoy
Just
what it
having
is
fun.
they watched,
Exactly.
check out Cinema Villains anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can find their stuff. And thanks again. And we will talk in the future. Jose is dope, don't you think? I really hope to get him back on for something else in the future. I don't know. I'll pick something, dude. But I'd love to work with him a little bit more because, like, next time we can get a little bit more of that energy out. I'm hyped. What do you guys think? Hopefully you dig it. Let's move on to trivia. This film was given a lot of lead time at 2 years. Like I said, these were all supposed to be like quick and dirty. I don't know, a couple of months, like definitely not even a full year of production time. Kamen Rider's actual 20th anniversary would have been 1991, but they intentionally delayed this so as not to conflict with Ultraman's 20th anniversary, which was in 1991. This extra time allowed for the development of some other experimental production concepts outside the fleshy disaster path that the film would eventually take. One that comes up most often in interviews and articles regarding the film is a pitch not dissimilar to the superhero comedy Kick-Ass. In this abandoned pitch for Shin Kamen Rider, an adult fan of the series found himself dressing up as the titular hero at night to fight crime. Shirakura was firmly against the idea, so it was shelved. Coincidentally, formerly mentioned Takashi Miike used this same idea in his film Zebra Man, and Takahiro Omori did something similar with the now defunct Studio Manglobe in the anime Samurai Flamenco from 2013, which was better than it had any right to be. Like, honestly, go watch that. It hits like a slow point, but it rewards you. It really does. Like, that slow point is necessary. It was expected that this would get 4 to 5 additional episodes, but that did not happen. They instead scrapped it for Kamen Rider ZO or ZO, I don't know, according to Kamen Rider Evil Genealogy Research Materials book. Pro-Tycoon Katsuhisa Ishikawa actually changed his name to Shin Ishikawa after this, because why keep things simple? The end theme featured the vocals of Noriko Watanabe, who plays Shun's mother in Godzilla Tokyo S. So, like, super fun. Once you reach that end, you're mostly going to be thinking to yourself, what the fuck did I just watch? So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the theme of a Godzilla character. Further appearances. There was a few-page manga published in Shonen Sunday on Wednesday, December 18th, 1992 by Hirohisa Masaki. I found this on the Internet Archives. So if you go to the Internet Archives website, good luck. Maybe you can find it too. Another manga, illustrated by Kenji Takaya and published in Korokoro Comic, which served as an independent prequel continuity to this movie. Don't have any dates on that. But I'm pretty sure it was right around this time area. Like, most things were in this time frame. On December 13th, 2013, saw the release of Owari no Hajimari, Hajimari no Owari, aka the beginning of the end of the beginning. It's either a novel or novella, who fucking knows, that was featured in Super Imaginative Chogokin Hero Saga Volume 4. The figure shown in this volume is extremely baller, and damn, do I wish I had it. It could actually be a one-off that someone made, like a hobby thing, because I cannot find anything online for such a, like, only a decade-old figure. But, it doesn't change how much I'd love to own it. This specific gruesome protagonist makes several appearances after this film, and as is tradition with literally everything else in this episode, the list changes based on which site you're looking at. So maybe he is or isn't in the films belonging to the Kamen Rider Decade TV series. The primary focus of the All Riders vs. Die Shocker comedic webisodes, and is a playable character in the 2011 All Kamen Rider Rider Generation game for the Nintendo DS. Oh, but guess what? If you look at different resources, he also returns in various Kamen Rider series Amazon, Black Sun, and some Black Series, I think, and Kamen Rider 4's The Net Edition. Look, I think this is the single dopest outfit Kamen Rider has ever created, and this is coming from a person who has like small Kamen Rider heads and figures, even though he's never seen them, just because they're so cool. This one, hands down, bar none, best. It is terrible at how difficult it was to find some of this information. Uh, like, give Homeboy his own show, and then someone who's like got all of these resources needs to do like a full historical thing about this one character. That's it. I'm done. I kid you not, it has been so frustrating to find any real info about this. Some of the resources for this episode. Number one this time is going to be Coop Bicknell from Zimmerit, a site which I have never heard of before, for his detailed article on this film and V cinema in general. Thanks to Anime News Network for having a seemingly solid list of a ton of names in this film and literally nothing else. They have nothing else but the names of this film. I kid you not, it is so hard to find info on this. The Kamen Rider fandom site is okay, but damn, do they need to get their shit together. It's one of those that it's like they'll list things, and then like sometimes if you click the right thing, it takes you somewhere else that might have more information that probably should have been listed elsewhere. So annoying. Speaking of not having shit together, Wikipedia was barely any help and only added to the frustration of who the fuck was involved, when the fuck anything happened, and where the fuck this creature appeared. Unfortunately, Shotaro Ishimori died just a few years after its production, so it's not like there was enough time for this to become a cult classic and garner further interviews from the creator, which is the saddest thing. He seemed to be appreciative of this. Like, I mean, he was in the film. He wanted this to happen, but it just sucks that he never got to see like the actual legacy from this. So we got to see it created, which is great, but he didn't get to see where it went. If I could conduct a seance right now, it would be to chat with him. Like, don't ask me tomorrow because it's probably going to go back to Steve Irwin. But right now, Shotaro Ishimori, love to chat with this guy from beyond the grave to see what he thinks about this character right now. On to some news. The new Shin Kamen Rider, directed by Hideaki Anno, releases in America on Wednesday, May 31st through Fathom Events. Thanks for bringing cool shit to America, y'all. Like, we also just saw the stage play of Spirited Away, which is absolutely amazing. Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 is set to release in July of this year. Yeah, for the first time ever, I just started watching that like 2 weeks ago. Binged all of it, including the movie, when I could have been working on this. Get off me, bruv. Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire. Did I get the name right? God, I didn't even write this down. Has been announced, and the feedback so far seems pretty positive. Check out the teaser. It's on YouTube. It's cool. Honestly, I don't give a shit what people think. Like, I'm ready to see this. I've enjoyed all of the Legendary films so far for both Godzilla and Kong. People like to bitch, but honestly, these people have probably never seen Son of Godzilla or the Heisei King Ghidorah or all of the other Godzilla films that are pretty atrocious. We're going to do super quick nacho business because it's my business. At the behest of my main squeeze Bob from Straight Chilling, I went to Spooky Empire this past weekend in Orlando. Well, yesterday, so that would be, the 20th on Saturday. Had a great damn time. Bought a lot of Godzilla art, which, hold on, where'd it go? Like this. Now I gotta switch windows. Yeah, so this is just one piece of several. And I got to meet some really cool artists, including the dope peeps from the Plastic Pizza. I got some of these stickers from those guys. Like, I'm just going to show a couple of these off. That's just a duplicate, but look at this stuff. Look at this stuff, man. Like, these are so fun. They got Sadako, like, motherfucking Frieza. Come on. Link to their stuff is going to be in the description. They do a lot of one-off designs. They work with a bunch of artists. And in the future, they may or may not be having a large kaiju-related piece releasing very soon. Yeah, Jordan and Sarah, you guys are awesome. You're probably never going to hear this, but that is how much of an impact they had while being at this con. The sixth Jason suit actor made fun of me, and it was great. Honestly, love that guy. I'll put the photo on YouTube. Oh, and no big deal, but I got to meet Hariken Ryu, the suit actor for the Heisei King Ghidorah, Batra, and the Godzilla Juniors in Mechagodzilla 2 and Destroya. The art piece that I showed you just a second ago, that was his, so he's baller. I have several Godzilla art pieces. Um, Actually, yeah, so none of yeah, they're all in the other corner. But yeah, I have art pieces from some of the actual Godzilla suit actors. I've had a few good gigs pop up recently, and I'm currently trying to find someone to build a site for my photography. Back in January, because it's the end of May now, back in January, I discovered after about 2 to 3 hours that I absolutely hate site design. I've been working on a site on and off, going from Squarespace to Google Sites, and everything has only gotten worse. Like, Squarespace advertises how easy they make it, doesn't matter. I absolutely loathe doing it. It's terrible, it's not fun. Shameless plugs. Obviously, go listen to Cinema Villains. Shaggy and Jose are some good dudes, and they know how to classify their villains. They know about that drip, if you know what I'm saying. Go listen to the currently airing Indiana Jones season on Podcasters Assemble. The Raiders episode is currently out, and I can't wait for you to hear what Zach and I have prepared for the Temple of Doom. We're really trying to take this shit to the next level. Speaking of Zach, for the third time this episode, the boys at Neatcast abandoned him a couple of weeks ago, allowing me the opportunity to swoop in and save him from the void. Put on your favorite John Coltrane album while listening to us really class up the joint. Yeah, I think that's it for plugs, and honestly, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Again, check the links. I'm trying to get better about that for every episode. I'm also trying to get a lot better about transcription because my show's mostly fucking scripted. So, like, what excuse do I have? The interviews are a little more difficult. Yeah, deuces.